Okay, so when we're working and designing in Photoshop for the web, it's really important that we keep our layers organized and we understand our layers. Because what we can do when we move into bringing our project into Dreamweaver or even into Adobe Muse, we can pull things out, we can slice it and save it separately and bring it over to our website. So here goes. So a really important thing is, again, keeping them organized. So we come on over to our layer panel. What we want to note is that everything that we've done is really in its own layer. So the background is its own layer. The paper is its own layer. The top nav is its own layer. The logo box and then crocheting is part of the logo are in their own layer. And even the top nav is in its own layer. So creating layers. Again, we can click to create a new layer. We can come on in and we can name it. So I'm naming this one type for nav. Okay, now what I might want to do too is even go, right now I don't have that many layers and I did not spell that right. So again, you can just kind of hover and click and then you can change, and I'm not getting it. Okay, usually it's a double click and then you can change the type. Okay, so I don't have a lot of layers right now, but eventually you definitely do end up with an awful lot of layers. So it's really important when you're doing this to keep things organized. So in keeping things organized, we can even go as far as working with groups and creating folders. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to name this file Nav, okay? And I'm going to click here and I'm going to actually pull this folder all the way up to the top, okay? And then everything that needs to be in this folder, I'm going to put in. So I definitely want the type for the nav, although that's empty. And so in order to drop it in, I can just hover and drop. Now it's in there. Okay, I know that it's in there because it's over a little bit. So if I close it, I can see that it's gone. All right, I also want top nav background. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it inside of the nav. Okay. And again, I can open and close this. All right. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do the logo. So I'm going to create another folder. And again, I can double click and I'm going to name this logo. And I'm going to put what should be in the logo folder. So I'm going to hover and I'm going to drop this in there. And I'm also going to get the word crochet and I'm going to drag and drop it in. So again, if I turn off this, it's there. And it's a really great way to keep things organized. Now, let's take a look as I start to move things around. Now, when I click onto it, see the whole thing selected. So that's another really powerful thing. You can move the whole thing as a group. But let's take a closer look at if I wanted to change. I want to get this word crochet inside my logo. So what I would do is I would come into my folder and I would just select that. Okay, so I've organized my logo folder. I still have the little logo image of yarn to put in. And what I want to do is I want to work in the nav folder. And I'm going to add a little bit of type. Now, right now in my nav folder, I have the top nav background. I can turn my eyeball on and off. And I also have this layer right here. Now this layer is empty, so I'm just going to delete it. And because whenever you work with type, it automatically creates a new layer. So I'm going to click off and I'm going to just grab my T for type and I'm going to hover and I'm going to click and I'm going to put the word home. Okay, let's change this. I have Georgia. I'm going to actually make this bigger. I'm going to go for 24. I'm going to go bigger. I'm going to go for 36. Home, let's go a little bit bigger. 48. There we go. 48 is perfect. All right, I can move this over where I want it to be. Now, let's take a look. Here it is. It's all the way in the top. If I want to put it in my nav folder, right, again, I can drag down, hover, and drop it inside my folder, and I can see that it's in there right now. Now I'm going to do my next one, and I'm going to choose to do, I'm going to click onto this guy. Actually, I can grab, and I'm going to do videos. Oops, if I can spell videos correctly. Again, I'm going to put it where I want to put it. I can pull out a guide to line everything up as I'd like to. This is all caps. I could change that if I want to too. Not sure if I like all caps. I am going to now measure, see what the distance is between these two. So this one is ending right at about, actually I'm going to end this right at 3 1/4 just to keep life a little bit simpler. And then in order to select home, I can use my arrows. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to move things, especially the font. So I often use my up and down arrow. I can do 1 inch in between. So I'm going to go to 1 to this quarter right here. Again, I'm going to select the word videos and I'm going to get it where I want it to be. Again, with font, I like the up and down arrows. And now I want to take this guy and put him in my nav folder though. So I think you get the idea. I'm going to continue through and getting all of these different pieces placed in to create my nav folder. Again, this video very much is just focusing in on the power of layers and folders when designing for the web.